it's less distracting for me anyways because you hear your own voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you get used to it. And yeah, the first few times I heard it, I was like, man, I sound weird.
Yeah.
But now I listen, I'm like, dude, I sound awesome. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you do.
So we said we were going to start this podcast off talking about Justin Anderson and how he quit jiu-jitsu and...
Yeah. You guys know the old school tradition is we don't do class at the academy. We just show up at his house one day and we do class.
We should. That'd be awesome.
And the reason we stopped doing that is because our team just naturally gets bigger, so it's like it's hard to fit 40 guys.
Yeah.
But like you do a day class and we've only got like less than 10 of us. We show up, you just move all the couches. What's funny, there's some YouTube videos of it, and what's funny is like anytime they show up to a blue belt's house who like has stopped coming, anytime they show up he's playing video games. He's not actually busy like he says he is.
I'm so busy,
Come
guys.
on.
Call of Duty.
I don't have any time.
They catch him red-handed every time and train in the living room.
That's funny.
Well, they're training their finger dexterity.
Yeah.
Their grip strength.
Their grip strength, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. No, it's fun. So the last time James and I talked, I was like brand new white belt. So not that I know.
Now you're seasoned.
Not that I know much more now, but thought it'd be fun to get Tom and I, who are just recently promoted to blue belt, and get together and just chat. And it can be about anything. I'm sure jiu-jitsu will come into it, but it's fun to just sit down and talk.
Yeah, did you see that debate?
Yeah, I'd rather talk about
Sorry,
jiu-jitsu.
I went straight to
horrible.
politics. That's my bad.
I saw a meme from Babylon B, and it said, breaking news, next debate will be held at Top Golf.
Yeah, he posted that.
How pathetic is it that we have two presidential candidates that are like,
bad.
I have a 6 handicap. No, you don't. I golf better than you do. Okay, thanks.
See, and this is why, because I've even heard them say, look, Joe Rogan should be the moderator, right? But if you actually threw gloves on the two presidential candidates, it would encourage younger aged men. They wouldn't get too old.
Throw Robert F. Kennedy in the mix, and that dude's the president.
That's funny.
He actually works out. He actually has muscles.
Super.
He actually talks about nutrition and how important it is.
Yeah, but his politics suck.
Yeah.
So I still wouldn't vote for him.
Yeah. He is probably the most right-leaning Democrat out there, minus Tulsi Gabbard. But what got me on him is he said if a bill comes across his desk that's gone through the House and through the Senate to ban guns, he will sign the bill. And that was a nail in the coffin for me. Nope, I won't touch it. Second Amendment's a big one for me.
Yeah, me
and
too.
It's not because I think everyone needs a gun and, but everyone should have the opportunity to protect themselves, and we have to protect our free speech, and the only way that can be done is by the second thing they wrote down in the amendments.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this Berna company?
I haven't heard of it.
I mean, I'm sure there's others that have done it, but they're like on all the commercials, but it's non-lethal.
Oh, like the pepper balls?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I don't know. I'd need to train with them, and I would need case studies on them. I'd need to see how well they actually perform, because I know what my 9mm performs. I know exactly what it does, and I know exactly how I shoot it.
I was thinking about it, and I'm like, because I have my own opinions about firearms anyways, so it's like, but isn't the point of jiu-jitsu that you can, like, choose not to hurt the person,
Yeah.
Which is cool with the non-lethal, but also someone breaks into my house and I'm probably not.
Right, and it also feels odd to pull a weapon and have it not be lethal.
Yeah.
And it's like a big clunky to fit
It
those pepper balls in it. It's like,
yeah, that feels odd to me.
so you're carrying one or the other, But what they were saying was like, hey, if you have a dementia-ridden old man in your house and you think someone's breaking in.
So if Joe Biden breaks
But that was how the ad worked. It was like, look, like maybe you're Joe Biden's family and he's like wandering around the house.
Right? You'd rather hit him with a pepper ball than a 9mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would need to see what it does. I've always concealed carried and taken several knife courses from Adam Boyce, which we've talked about. And he called me yesterday. I need to call him back. I think the 27th of this month, he says he has open if we wanted to do something. So we need to look at those dates. Anyways, so I always conceal carry a gun. I always conceal carry a knife. But honestly, Jiu-Jitsu has really upped my confidence level, because that 21-foot rule with a knife, it's very real. Like, we've tried several times just messing around with it. Like, no way. Like, I can get my gun out and get a shot off, and you really can't.
No.
So now knife defense becomes a big thing. Then getting that knife away, and then still grappling or punching or, whatever it is. I just feel a lot more confident in public than I ever have. I still have to face the door. That's just ingrained in me. Like, and my wife knows. She always gives me the seat where I can see everything.
Yeah.
Do you guys do that?
Absolutely.
To go right on the negative note, so we're in a restaurant. What's today, Monday? Saturday night. And it's this burger joint that you all know what it is. Anyways. And this guy completely loses his cool because he got skipped in line for getting a table. I mean, completely flipped his lid. And he didn't even lose it at the hostess or whatever. Like, he was mad at whoever got the table before him. It was like the biggest problem ever. And anyways, it's funny because we're watching every person that comes in. Once he's at the table, we get to sit between our kids and him, Yeah. But
I think
even the average people just have temper tantrums.
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu fixes that.
Yeah.
He
needs some jiu-jitsu, all right.
Well, isn't it if your jiu-jitsu enhances who you are, right? So
yeah.
It's like money. It's an amplifier.
Yeah, so if you're a douchebag, you're going to be a bigger douchebag.
Yeah. I just, like, you had told me the story of the guy that followed you, and you were just like, oh, hey, man, I'm sorry. But knowing the whole time, like, I could take this guy. My friend told me yesterday that someone cut him in line leaving the Theo Von concert, and he lost his cool. And I was like, I shouldn't say his name. Brady. Yeah, I'm just saying it anyways. Brady. He'll probably listen to this. I was like, Brady.
Shout out to Brady.
Yeah, shout out to Brady. I was like, Brady, you need jiu-jitsu in your life. And Brady's an amazing guy. Like, he'll do anything for anyone. One of my best friends. But I was just like, someone just cut you in line. Like, but if you want to get out of the car and beat this guy up, as soon as you know that you can get out of the car and beat him up, you don't really have that desire anymore. You're like, I'd like to avoid the fight.
Yeah, and I think more than that, you're just, if you're doing jiu-jitsu, for one, you're getting out some of that, I don't want to say aggression, because I really don't feel aggressive at jiu-jitsu, like I want to hurt somebody.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's problem solving. So
yeah,
when somebody's on top of you trying to choke you, it brings perspective to somebody cutting in line in the car or whatever. You're like,
Did you guys see the video my dad posted on the forum?
Which one?
It was the Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson
about
video.
a man being deadly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that one?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, right? Because it's like jiu-jitsu teaches and helps us men, even those young boys in the youth class, what masculinity really is. And in today's society, it's, you just need to repress, you just need to not be masculine. And what does it say? I want my sons to be monsters and then learn how to control it properly. Or I think it was know how to use a sword but sheath it.
that's cool.
I think that's what jiu-jitsu does, is it like teaches you how to be a monster, right? But then it's like, well, okay, how do I control this technique and the emotions that I have? And it's kind of cool. It's a balance.
I really like about jiu-jitsu too, because doing other things, striking and all that, you know what I mean? It's cool. I used to be able to punch and kick people and do all the cool Bruce Lee stuff, but now I have options.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu is cool because you could shoot a double leg, take them down. You could hold them. You could choke them. You could hurt them if you wanted to. but you're in control. You get to impose your will on another human being.
That being said, if I could kick like Alex Pereira against
Get head kicked.
against
It was a head kick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can't pronounce his name. Prochakaza. Dude, it was insane because, like, I guess it was a shorter notice fight, and like he was dominating kind of the whole time, but then he kind of did this one leg kick with the right leg, and then it completely opened up that guy's right side because he was blocking to the left, and then he just right across the face, and he is down and out. But they were in that fight mode, and so he just starts to go on this guy, and the referee pulls him off, and it was a pretty impressive kick. But there is striking in jiu-jitsu. It just it's like you say, it comes later on, and I think that's really good and important because, well, tell me why it's good and important actually.
Why striking? Being part of it, or
being part of it, but later on, like purple belt.
Yeah, I don't know. When that new guy comes in and he's not allowed to punch, he's already going too berserk. So
yeah,
that's my line of thought is like, well, let's teach you how to control yourself while we're not even hitting each other, and then you learn how to control yourself with striking as well. It's better done in that order. In fact, I was just telling Tom the other day that. Even with the old Kempo that we used to do, they encourage that you do a year of judo or grappling before you actually do the striking, and it's just because it's so much safer.
That's cool.
And it's so cool because it's like the one martial art where you even watch those UFC guys, and a lot of times they win with injuries.
Yeah.
And even like not even during the fight, but like practicing it, they just get injured, and it's like jiu-jitsu is one of the opportunities where I can fully beat you and I can walk away. I'm not even sore. Mm-hmm. My hair's not even messed up.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't even have any hair to mess up. That's why. But
that's why I'm wearing a hat.
Yeah.
Well, that Alex Pereira, he dislocated his toe kicking him.
Yeah.
And then they zoomed in and watched him pop his toe back into place. You're like, these guys are monsters.
So tough.
There was a girl the other day, an Olympic weightlifter. She cleans the weight and it dislocated her thumb. So she unracks one hand, or I guess unracks both hands, puts it back in, re-racks it, and finishes the jerk. You're like, holy cow.
I always make sure to show my wife those scenes. Have you seen? It was just like 6 months ago to a year, but it was a UFC fight where he's bleeding, like from his head, a ton, and he decides to start rubbing it into his partner's face.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about? And I was like, "Honey, come here, you gotta watch this."
I've seen that.
That's nasty.
It's just one of the, and the other guy was like giggling. He thought it was so funny. Just I'm just gonna bleed all over you.
Yeah, and speaking of bleeding, it was that fight, Macy Chiasson versus Mayra Bueno Silva.
Yeah.
And Mayra looked solid.
That's when she hit the elbow.
Yep, exactly.
Cut her eye open.
Dude, it was a massive gash, and she's like, I want to keep going, and they stopped it. And I didn't know in those situations, Macy Chiasson, she was awarded a TKO. So even though it didn't knock her out, it was considered because they had to stop the fight for it. So I had no idea. So they call it by KO or TKO. It was in round 2 at 158. It's pretty crazy. But that Mayra lady from Brazil, her jiu-jitsu's on point. Like you could tell she was waiting to go to the ground. It's pretty sweet.
It still works.
Yeah.
If you can get it done in the 5-minute time limit with a greased down partner.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
I was watching it with. It was actually like a great day. We were at Rigby Lake for the fireworks, and UFC was on. So I was eating trailer food, like trailer truck food, watching UFC, waiting for fireworks. It was a pretty great time. And,
did you get stuck out there till 2
yeah,
a.m.?
it was quite the get out of
Next
there.
time you contact DJ, he has a house like right in front of it.
Oh, that's cool.
So, anyways. But you were saying,
it
was a good night, huh?
Yeah, it was great. I don't remember where I was going with that. Oh, it was the idea that at the end of the round you stand everybody back up. And it's kind of like in a real fight, that's not what happens. And so, they've turned it into a sport. Whereas when UFC first started, it was like nearly no rules, martial art against martial art. I kind of wish some of that would come back. Joe Rogan says they should be fighting on a basketball court, and there shouldn't be a time limit.
That's usually where fights happen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's very true. Especially church ball.
Yeah.
It's really raining outside. I don't know.
That's hail.
Yeah, this might sound through on the microphones.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't quit since I become a blue belt, but I've definitely gone less.
That's what I
So
told
has
James,
so
too.
has all the other 11, 12 guys that got blue belts
Yeah.
a few months ago.
Yeah. Was it April? Yeah.
But every one of them's texting me, "Hey, I'm not done. I'm coming back still." And I go, "Mm-hmm."
Mm-hmm.
Well, even our friend that's a PA, like, he hasn't canceled his membership because he's like, I will be back.
Yes.
So it's cool.
And eventually I go, "Dude, you got to stop paying me, man. You're not coming." I know it stays in the back of your mind when you're paying me, but I guess I don't mind. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Well, that's how big box gyms do it. They sign up 5,000 members and hope that only 100 come.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
No.
That's why we don't even do contracts, because I just can't. I just can't. But that's me. That's different business models too. So
I don't know. It seemed like blue belt was such a goal. Like, you're shooting towards blue belt. You're working for it. You're getting there, and then you get there, and then you realize,
like,
I'm just beginning.
Yeah.
Like, I'm supposed to know something, but I don't. And-
I just feel like a good white belt.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's
But we were talking earlier about spazzy white belts. They're the slowest ones that I roll with because I just hold them there. And I'm like, I'll just wait till you get tired and then we'll do something.
Well, I would love to roll with myself on that first
Oh,
day.
man. Okay, there has to be an AI model
Right.
that it can film you doing jiu-jitsu for your first month and then film you doing jiu-jitsu like at blue belt level.
Yeah.
And then go against each other. And if that AI model doesn't exist, we just talked about it, it's proprietary.
Until the AI comes into play,
Copyright.
And
there's
license.
been one way that we've been doing it for 40 years, and that is you bring in your brother.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, that's basically the closest.
I mean, I love my brothers, but I could definitely
Yeah.
take them. One of them we might even get in. I've been talking to him about it for quite a while, so.
But it is cool. It is
Yeah.
cool. Now when the new guys come in and you're rolling with them, you're like, oh, this
Yeah,
isn't as hard as it would have been even 6 months ago.
for sure.
Yeah.
And it's cool, too, to know enough that it's like, they do something and it's like, hey, just in the future, when you do this, you just opened yourself up to this and this. Like, from a defensive position, which in my understanding, like, white belt is very, very defensive. Like, if you put your arm there, I am going to armbar you. If you expose your neck like that, I am going to choke you.
Yeah. Do you think there's some confidence that you gain just from being a blue belt? Like, you accomplished something, so you feel like...
I think in me, at least, because I went, like, my last 3 months of white belt, I felt completely plateaued. Like almost what happens to blue belts when they're like, oh, I hit a plateau. Mine was like my 4th stripe on white belt. As soon as I became a blue belt, it was weird. It was like I felt athletic again.
Yeah.
And actually never, this is like me being vulnerable here, I've never seen myself as athletic in any way.
Really?
Like, I do athletic things, but I've never seen myself athletic. Then watching you and I roll the other day, so James and I roll, like, I look athletic. I look like I'm actually an athlete.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty cool to just finally realize that, and then it gives you a little more motivation. Like, well, man, if I would actually train CrossFit a little more, if I'd actually train Jiu-Jitsu a little more,
lose
eat a
that
little
20
bit better.
pounds, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And James, you get to see everybody kind of progress.
Yeah, I was gonna say, right when you were feeling athletic, I could feel it too. Usually, I've got a pretty good feel. It's usually when I grab you and I go, "Oh, I've got to adjust."
As soon
my
as you got
technique.
my leg, I'm like, I can only roll into the mat, and then I can't roll anymore. And then I came back up to the other side and rolled in the wrong direction. And I knew you had it for like 15 seconds, but I was like, I'll hold off. And then
I liked that challenge
Yeah, that was cool.
It was cool. My only concern was, what if I submit someone really fast? If they'll be upset, but
Everybody seemed
that's
to
why
take it in
I
stride.
took out Logan really quick because he's brother-in-law. So I'm like, well, I'll just embarrass him, and then he was a great sport about it. I was like, he is not winning. I'm not letting a family member win.
No, it was a cool event and definitely something we should do.
But what you were saying is like the belt, it helped. I've noticed because I've given promotions. I mean, I haven't actually given belts past 2 years. I mean, I've only been a black belt for less than 2 years. So I've only recently handed out belts. But I've watched my dad promote people, and I could say that the promotion either helps people kind of succeed.
Mm-hmm.
I've also seen the opposite where you hand someone that next belt and it's the worst thing for them,
Yeah.
and it's then we put so much pressure on the coach getting promoted, and it's like, dude, you're not ready. Like, we're gonna wait until this is a good thing for you.
Yeah.
There's a balance there, but
And is that moment when, for me, for example, I was like, I want to get my blue belt as fast as possible.
yeah.
And then nearing blue belt, I'm like, I would like to prolong this for as long as possible.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, sandbagging is a new concept that's not in a lot of other martial arts for sure. But you're just starting to understand that, it's more than just the belt.
yeah.
But
Well, it's interesting. So Spencer in Idaho Falls, who's a purple belt now, I started when he was a blue belt, and I think like maybe one stripe. So like I'm near that.
yeah,
I don't know if I'm at his level that he was at that time.
Yeah.
But there's actually no way I'm ever going to know, but I want to know because, every once in a while I would never submit him, but like I'd catch him in something that he was like, and so like, oh, sweet, I caught a blue belt in something, and then he got out. But I wish I could fight him. I wish I could roll with him now.
You can fight him,
with
too.
him the same that he was then. But we all grow together, so.
yeah. It's your journey, It's your own journey. I mean, even my journey is different than any of a lot of the instructors that I have. I got spoiled. I got to start when I was a very young kid, even compared to you guys, right? I got to start when I was a very young age, and so my journey was even longer towards promotions and black belts, and
Yeah.
I think that's okay,
Yeah.
Just like that one blue belt kid on the mat, and this is what I always say. It's like, because you're not supposed to compare, but we all do, right? But there's the adult blue belt who's spent maybe 200 hours on the mats, and then there's that 16-year-old kid blue belt who has 4,000, 5,000 hours. He has enough for a black belt. That was me and a lot of my siblings, right? And it's like, this is why you can't compare. you can't compare yourself to that kid who's been training for 15 years since before he could walk.
Yeah.
So,
That's a cool advantage that kids can have. Yeah. Someone asked me, the same friend actually that we were watching UFC the other day, he said, if you could go back and change things, like what would you change? And I was like, I actually would not change anything because life has brought me where I'm at and I'm happy. There's still tons of challenges, but I wouldn't change anything. But if I had to choose, like obviously I would have bought Bitcoin 12 years ago, and I would have started jiu-jitsu and CrossFit
and made a time machine, and done all those things.
Yeah. So, I won't get into this. I will at some point in a podcast, but jiu-jitsu is probably one of the contributors to saving my life.
Yeah.
So, like it's done a lot for me. For me, it's very, very meditative. Like I love the learning portion, and since my life is kind of coaching, it's actually really nice to go and just be coached. It's very, very positive for me. And then the last 30 minutes when it's randori and we just roll, that is meditation time for me.
And it's combat. I think and I think there's benefits to all sports, being athletic in all ways. But I think there is something, especially for boys and men, where we get to fight each other in a controlled environment where we don't get hurt all the time, right? But there's something about getting to you learn a lot about yourself in those scenarios, right?
Yeah.
And the kids that I teach learn to problem solve. They learn how to innovate.
Yeah.
They learn how to get out of really nasty situations, and
which
it helps
is
in
akin to
life. But this is nothing new. Like Jiu-Jitsu helps so many people. I get to have those conversations every day. Probably multiple a month who are dealing with a divorce, have struggled with addiction, and decide to take on jiu-jitsu instead of medication or illicit drugs, right?
Yeah.
And so it's cool to see what it does, and it's cool for me as a coach to see what role I play in that. But so much of it as well is just the jiu-jitsu and the mats being there, and then be able to learn so much about themselves. What was really cool this weekend was, not so cool, but really cool about our team, was I have a few students who are very young. They range, they're brothers, but they range from probably 7 years old to 12 years old, and their dad passed away this week. He's very young. He's younger than you guys.
Yeah.
And it's cool to get the team together there. Mostly a lot of youth students because we were supporting the boys.
Yeah.
But those boys need jiu-jitsu right now. That's what they need.
Yeah.
So I went straight to Mom and I was like, look, I don't want to interfere right now or talk a ton of details, but let's keep them going.
Yeah.
And keep the schedule going, keep them busy, but also they need the physicality of this. They need the combat. These boys now need to learn how to be men without their father present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the family environment that you've created at Soma.
Yeah, that community is awesome.
It's amazing. I went through some crap a little over a year ago, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as that, and the first place I wanted to go was hang out at Jiu-Jitsu.
It was so cool. We're going through this line at the viewing yesterday, and I thought I was the first person there to meet the family, and they were like, well, how do you know us? And we're like, well, we're the Jiu-Jitsu people. And they said, whoa, we've had so many people already come in. You must have a tight community. That's what they said. You must have a tight group if so many people have come. And I was like, oh, well, there's 30 people behind me that are from the team. I didn't know there was people before us,
That's right.
It's a lot of support.
But just cool support and a good place to be. And my wife knows where I'm at. She knows what kind of people I'm with.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be.
It is.
So
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this quote. This is what I was going over last night. Have you guys seen Jiu-Jitsu Strong? I just found it on YouTube, and it's from a while ago, but it's got just amazing quotes about the benefits of Jiu-Jitsu and it starts with Hobson Gracie, which is the quote that I've been thinking about a lot. But then it goes to Henzo, and it goes to just all of the key people that have influenced Jiu-Jitsu. Then it goes to Marcelo Garcia, and it goes to just all these cool guys. I think Hickson and Hoyce are both in it. But hopefully this doesn't change subject too much.
No.
Anyways, it's deep thought.
I love it.
But he says, who invented jiu-jitsu? And he's like, did the monks come up with it?
Yeah.
Was it monks in India that got jiu-jitsu, and then they went on missions and taught in China and Japan maybe, right? But he was pointing out it's older than us, right?
Yeah.
But he says, it is a weapon given by God. Look, the line of thought is so profound, so big in the sense that if you analyze jiu-jitsu technique, you will realize that it's really extrasensorial and did not come from our jiu-jitsu, did not come from our intelligence. It came from a more profound place. analyze its defenses, that anyone can do it. And that's Portuguese translated.
Yeah.
But is really I think the goal that Professor Strack and like Soma Jiu-Jitsu has actually taken up is realizing that Jiu-Jitsu is older than ourselves and older than maybe just 100 years ago or less than that, right? It goes back further. It came from a more profound place, and not to sound too stoic or whatever, but it's like Jiu-Jitsu is about body movement.
Yes.
It's about combat, but it's also about wrestling with your boys at home.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's about teaching your girls how to stand up for themselves. And it's about community being tight-knit when someone passes away. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Kung Fu is a way of life, you know.
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying. But it's like, it's more than just the new fad, you know. And so it's cool to see the innovation and the way that Jiu-Jitsu is going. It's also cool to see the tradition and those who are before us and even before, the Gracies. Even that's Hobson Gracie, right? His dad is Carlos Gracie. His uncle is Elio Gracie. And he's even saying, look, like, this didn't just come from us.
No. Yeah.
This isn't just our jiu-jitsu. Like, there's more going on here. It's a weapon given by God. I like that. That's a cool thing.
Well, if you go back to, like stuff comes around, you're like, well, they think this new rubber guard or this new whatever is new, but you go back in the text and it was, hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
Go further than that, even before jiu-jitsu, men have been wrestling since there have been two dudes and fighting over something, probably a chick, but you know what I mean? We've been wrestling and fighting each other as long as we've been people, so.
Yeah.
And then they decided to take it and organize it and figure out a better way to do it. But
And then Henzo says, what is jiu-jitsu? It's my religion. And I went, okay, well, hold on. Like,
Yeah.
It's a weapon given by God. I have people who come in who
Yeah.
train, right, who are like, look, like, I was looking for God, and I found this instead. I go, hold up a second. Like,
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu helps enhance your life, but it is not life itself.
Yeah.
It is not God. It is not religion. It is not family.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
right? We are a family. We're a community, but like, we need family. We need those things, and jiu-jitsu helps enhance those areas of our lives. So it's still in balance.
So you were born into it. I mean, this is kind of destined.
He was
this is
born
what
into
James,
the covenant.
right? But like, wait, what brought you into jiu-jitsu, Tyler?
Trent Shaw. I mean, yeah, Trent's actually the first one to tell me about CrossFit, and then forever he was talking about jiu-jitsu and Navy SEALs and all of that, and then it was really great timing when James started here at the gym and our boys got involved, and I was pretty busy with stuff, so I wanted to do it for years, but mostly I feel very proficient with a firearm and not anything hand-to-hand.
There you go.
So that was kind of my first thing. But then I've also really enjoyed competing in jiu-jitsu, and that's a little different world than self-defense, but definitely has crossover. Yeah. And so that's probably it.
That's cool.
What about you?
Honestly, I just was at a point where because I trained martial arts before, I felt like it was missing from my life. It'd been 20 years since I've done anything, and it wasn't jiu-jitsu in particular.
Yeah.
I know I needed to do something, and I was looking around, and I didn't think I could do jiu-jitsu because I'm old and infirmed.
You're not that old.
But you know what I mean? Like, I didn't think I could do it, and I walked into Soma Jiu-Jitsu. Actually, I think I texted you first through, and walked in and talked to James, and he was like, well, hold on, watch the class. And he was teaching the little kids, and how he was teaching and what these little kids were doing, man.
Yeah.
I love watching the little kids roll.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I was in, and then my first class, man, the team and the way they were was actually what's his name, Ben.
Yep.
Big tall Ben rolled with me that first day, and he treated me like, he didn't treat me like I was stupid. He didn't beat up on me. He's like, oh no, here, we're all learning. You're part of the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was hooked.
It's awesome.
That was it. And then I try to do that for the new people who come in too, like make it a good experience. Like we could beat them up and strangle them and do, you know what I mean? Just treat them like a piece of meat. But
And it kind of used to be that way.
Yeah.
When we were still proving the effectiveness of jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
And maybe that was wrong, but now it's like, look, we've proven ourselves 15 years ago. And now come in and have fun and learn something. And then when you put on a blue belt, you realize like how much you really didn't know. Everyone thinks they know how to fight, especially with a little alcohol in their system. They think they know, but taking care of that new guy like you were, that's so big, you know. I remember hearing someone say this about, you know, that young blue belt who thinks he's just all that. It's like, dude, you think you're cooler than that white belt? He's a neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
Right.
He is way cooler than you will ever be. You think you're cooler than him off the mats? He saves lives and you don't.
Yeah. There was one the other day. We had just gone over Osotogari and some other throws, and he was brand new, but he was really trying those throws. So I think in Rondori it was like an 8-minute round. So I submitted him twice,
Yes.
pretty easily, and then after that I was like, hey, take me down without Osotogari. You know, like let's go through this. And it was really cool because you know how it is. As soon as you start to teach something, now I'm not teaching him. And,
You're helping him.
I'm helping him.
Yeah.
But as soon as you move into that role a little bit, well, I started to understand Osotogari way more because I'm like, hey, take me down. That didn't work. Now I'm learning. Okay, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, now try this. You know, really like get those handlebars in. The steering wheel. Really get that elbow up. You know, he takes me down pretty hard, and I'm like, just like that. Yeah. That was awesome. So it was fun to like, you kind of show some dominance, and you're like, hey, just so you know, I can beat you fairly easily right now, but it's okay. I was in the same place you are. Now let's spend some time and let's hone your game. So it was fun.
Yeah, it's cool because around purple belt you get to start teaching a little bit, right? You cover a class or whatever, and it really helps you learn things. I really think white and blue belt are like the stage of acquiring the jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And then you'll still always be obtaining jiu-jitsu, but like it's all about starting to create a jiu-jitsu personality eventually. And it's so cool to see people train for 10, 20 years and they get a black belt and they're still so different than each other, you know. Yeah. I still roll so differently than Scott Blake or even my dad, you know.
You know, like you started young, you know. I'm never going to roll like a 20-year-old. You know, I was 45 when I started. So my jiu-jitsu is going to look different when down the line, you know, than maybe yours.
But we're bringing up a good point of like just that first day person's experience, you know. And you just cannot change someone's mind by embarrassing them or hurting them so bad that they feel crushed. I don't know if that makes sense. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, you come in your first day, I'm going to choke you over and over and show you how effective jiu-jitsu is with a smile on my face and patting your back and saying, hey, man, you come into class tomorrow? You know, like, I want another piece of you, you know, like, in a good way. I hear too many sad stories about people going in and they've wrestled a little bit, and so they roll a little bit aggressive, and so the jiu-jitsu guy feels threatened, and so he tweaks the guy's leg a little bit or he holds on to that choke a little bit long, and it's like, that does not happen where we train.
No.
And that's not jiu-jitsu, right? And my goal is, you know, your introduction to be at jiu-jitsu to be, you know, what ours is.
Yeah, but I get it from people's standpoint. Now, I didn't. I would hear about people that would come to CrossFit and they'd sit in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And then they'd come again and they'd sit in the parking lot and they never came in. They're like, I came to the parking lot 2-3 times and I never came in. And I was like, I just didn't. I would never put them down for it, but I never understood it. I was like, why?
It's
like,
intimidating, man.
We all, like, I had to come my first time. Everybody has to come their first time. And then I signed up for Soma Jiu-Jitsu. And I sat in the Idaho Falls parking lot 2 times before I went in. Because it was the same exact thing. I was like, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to look like an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to roll. Like, I don't know anything, and I don't want to look stupid. So then my ego's like, well, just sit in the car and do nothing then. Then you finally go in, and it's all welcoming, and it's like, oh, this is your first class. This is awesome. I'm so glad you're here. And you get to learn something, and I don't remember exactly what we were learning, but...
I do.
You do you? That's
my
awesome.
First day. Yeah.
So what was it?
I still use it. It was guard passing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Like the knee cut. Guard
Ben's
passing.
long legs.
Yes. Yep.
That's
but yeah,
awesome.
and I still used it, and I used it for...
Yeah.
Anyways.
I know one of the first, it wasn't the first, because I think my first couple classes were in Idaho Falls, and then, because I think this was before you had the noon class.
Yeah.
Because I could hit noons on Mondays and Fridays. So it was probably a couple months in, but we learned the balloon, like the balloon sweep.
Mm-hmm.
So, I learned it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to forget that one. And I did. I forgot it for about a year, and then all of a sudden I started balloon sweeping everybody. It was awesome. It was like balloon sweep, choke, balloon sweep, arm bar, balloon sweep. And I'm like, I learned this a year ago, but it was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's you just wait for the right timing.
Yeah, it's cool.
And again, like, it's more than just moves, it's movement.
Mm-hmm.
You're using the strong, like a balloon sweep, you're using the strongest part of your legs, the strongest movement there is to lift someone over you.
Yeah.
In fact, you've seen a balloon sweep in all the Hollywood movies. Like, you've seen the sweep, just because it's like a basic movement, but it's cool when you finally start doing it, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Pretend to pull guard and then balloon sweep them. Or, recently we've been learning butterfly, which is I never noticed it, like even in the UFC, like I never noticed it before, and then you start to learn it and you're like, oh, he's in a really good position. Whereas before I just never understood that. I would just almost be like, well, why doesn't he pull him into guard? Why doesn't he get his leg out of there and put the guy into guard? And it's like, oh, because he's in a really good position like that. And then just taking the time and the practice and all of the butterfly that we're doing now, in a year, it'll probably be like, oh, now I get it.
Right. Right. There's stuff now that we're going over again, because I like your curriculum, and we see stuff every couple months. It comes back around. But yeah, I'm seeing stuff now where James will tweak it a little bit. Or now, how did your dad talked about it in one of his seminars too? It was like learning how to talk, or like learning how to write. Right. First, you're learning the words, and then you can put the words into sentences, and then.
And this is really, one thing that we kind of not brag about, but that we're just proud about in our teaching style and like the environment that we have, is you guys have done that, like cursive letters.
Mm-hmm.
There's cursive. There's also like the dotted lines where you like write the letters, right? And the analogy we always give is like, if you were learning your A's and B's your first day and we were connecting the dots, and I was your teacher and I came over and I started shaking the desk your first day, you probably would like not learn it very well. Eventually you get good enough at writing, you can do cursive and you can write really quick and you can type and you can, or a lot of it's like sounding out words, right? Like you learn what each letter sounds like, and then you learn how to put kind of like 3-letter words together and all that. But Jiu-Jitsu is the same way. And I see people get so excited about it and they kind of jump ahead and they fall flat on their face. It's good to learn things at the correct pace. Yeah. And your coach will know that pace for you.
Something I really like is the code of conduct too. It's I started thinking about this in a movie that we watched last night. So the code of conduct, obviously it's rules, and I'm not personally I don't really like rules. I like to do what I want to do. But rules have such a great place, and we were watching this movie called The Ron Clark Story. Have you heard of that? Mm. It's great. It has Matthew Perry. It's pretty mediocre acting, but it's about this teacher who ends up going to Inner Harlem and teaching the worst class in Inner Harlem. They were the lowest scoring kids out of the entire class. And his rule number one.
Is he an English teacher?
Well, it was young enough that he taught multiple subjects.
He taught all the subjects?
Yeah.
I was going to say, maybe I've seen part
Yeah.
of it.
Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
So his first rule is, we are a family. And everyone's like, this is stupid. We're not a family. Like, you're white, and he's in Inner Harlem, so he's teaching a lot of minorities. And I don't remember what all the rules are, but he ended up writing a book that was like the 55 lessons. And the 55 lessons are his 55 rules, and it was on the New York Times bestseller list. And if you can actually be disciplined to follow all of the rules, then great things happen. But if we're not disciplined enough to follow a simple rule, like sometimes I show up with black shorts, but they have pockets, like not in the code of conduct, like it's not in, it's simple stuff, but it's like, it's done for a reason. And if you follow that reason, then the why can appear later on. So these kids they wanted nothing to do with these rules, but finally he was able to tweak things enough that they were like, okay, I'll do your rules. They do the rules, and that year the worst class that had tested the year before beat out the honor student class the next year. And it's a true story. Like, it's pretty awesome. So that's something I actually really appreciate about your...
Well, and again, like, with that story, it's not about the teacher getting his way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in charge. Here's the rules. Like, that's really not the point why I do the code of conduct. What I like is, this is how I see jiu-jitsu in its best form. Yeah. This is how we're going to do it here.
Yeah.
And if you follow these rules, you will experience jiu-jitsu in the best way.
Yeah.
You don't follow the rules to make me as a coach happy.
For sure.
And this is parenting too. It's like, your kids need to understand that the reason you have rules and guidelines is for them, and it's not because you're going to be angry if they don't follow it. It's like, it is for them. That's the whole point. It's so crucial that at least at Soma Jiu-Jitsu that we have a vetting system, that we have a code of conduct. I've had parents ask me, I had one just a while ago who was like, what are my expectations for my son? And I didn't want to, I was like, here it is.
Yeah.
Here's the 10 things, it's on the code of conduct. It enhances, and I've been talking about the culture of our team a lot recently, right? The culture is huge, and even things that aren't related to the code of conduct, right? I went to a really intense competition school down in Los Angeles, California, right? And we went at it for an hour, and I mean, they threw black belts at me. They were a major competition team, and I was so thirsty. I went to go get a drink, right? And the coach was like, "We don't do that. Like, we're not getting a drink. Like, hold on." And 10 minutes later, the sparring session was over. We got our drinks or whatever, and at least me leaving there, what did I think about the culture? These guys are intense. They're hungry for jiu-jitsu, right? I don't want to sound like the guy's like, water's for the weak. I'm not saying that. But it's
water's to wash blood off my uniform, and you don't get blood on my uniform.
Yes. But little things like that, right? And so this is what's enhancing our team now, even past the code of conduct. It's like, look, we finish our instruction. We go straight into randori. We go into our sparring. When we finish instruction and half the team goes and gets a water break, all of a sudden the energy just went down. Our learning just went down. And so, like, my goal now is to just get us going into next gear. Yeah. We're shifting gears.
In no-gi summer, it's really hard for me to hide water in my gi.
Yeah.
It's been a really difficult summer for me.
That is hard, isn't it?
I don't know, but it feels it's stepped up. Everybody's stepped up.
Yeah, we're ramping it up. We're doing more programs. I am excited that for now we're trying out a competition program. I like the separate idea. When I go to a competition class, I can teach jiu-jitsu in the sense where you're competing against someone who knows jiu-jitsu, and there's rules and a time limit. And then when I go to my other classes, I can teach self-defense all the way, and I don't have to try to cover all the bases for both. And so we're adding some cool programs, But that's only because of you guys. And really, it's you guys and just the few people before you guys that came in and started, for example, Rexburg, right? One or two bad apples can ruin the team. And I help, those guys that come in who don't have a good attitude, we help them train somewhere else or not train on our team. But also just those upper belt students play such a huge influence on the team, especially when we were starting off. So it's cool. We've had some awesome people on the team.
Yeah, it really is great. Like, it's so cool to walk in there and you instantly have friends. You instantly have people you can lean on. Tom, not in a gay way, but we just hit it off really quickly and just like an instant best friend, and it's really awesome. Really cool.
Yeah. Your competition class too, man. Rolling with those guys, you can tell who's in the competition class now. It's a little different. And it's awesome, and it's bringing it's elevating everyone. It's kind of cool.
And again, because you guys have talked about that plateau and everything, right? I think there comes a point where you will train long enough that, when you're tempted to quit, it goes back to just your love for jiu-jitsu. Yeah. We've listened to Strack and Alan Hopkins in their podcast, right? Strack had been accepted into a university, loved jiu-jitsu so much he just never showed up to class.
That was so great.
Where did he work? Radio Shack or something, right? And just train jiu-jitsu. Now again, like, I don't drop everything and go train jiu-jitsu all day, but I do. I get to train all day. It's my job, right? But I get, what am I saying? Just eventually you'll train long enough that you won't have all of your friends there on the mats. Yeah. I've trained long enough that when I started jiu-jitsu to now, the different faces, like most people are different faces, because most people don't continue. Yeah. And so it is, although it's a tight community, although we have those friendships, it is a very individual sport, and your motivation is very individual as well, and it comes down to you. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So how do you keep that fire for so long? I mean, it's hard. I started later in life, and I'm running into some physical limitations, right? And that's frustrating. Yeah. When I wanna train.
Ask me again when I'm old.
Yeah, there you go.
So, I can't speak for jiu-jitsu because I haven't been in it that long, but for me in CrossFit, it's actually going back to the fundamentals. And I've seen this in jiu-jitsu a little bit because I want to know the fancy moves, right?
Sure.
Like, I want a flying armbar someone someday because it's cool. But the truth is, like, my fundamentals still need a ton of work. So I'll find myself going to cross-choke someone and having difficulty. I'm like, I should not be having difficulty doing this. So in my mind, at least for me right now where I'm at, I want to learn the cool stuff, but I don't feel ready for the cool stuff, so it excites me to get better at the fundamentals.
But like James, you've seen a lot of people train and come and go and quit, and you've seen older people train and stuff like that. How do they? It was funny because we talked months ago about like the blue belt blues, like people quit when they hit blue belt. I'm never gonna hit that, right? And I get my blue, and I'm like, oh.
That's why when you guys come to me and you're like, hey, just so you know, I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm like, all right, talk to me again in a couple of years,
right? And I'm like, oh no, it'll never happen. But like, my knees hurt, my stuff. I'm an old man, so how do you keep training, man? How do you keep the fire for so long? You just
Yeah, and I think it's a good analogy to life in general. Again, I see so many. I want jiu-jitsu to be for kids. I want it to be for women. I think there's a special need for men who are in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, who are going through things that, as a society, we don't talk about right now anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
You hit plateaus. Your body starts to get old, right? And just in life, right? And one of the things that I'm learning recently right now about life and about my jiu-jitsu, because I actually recently, as a black belt, have been in a big plateau. And the longer you do jiu-jitsu, the smaller they get. But I was in a pretty good one. But the bigger that plateau is, once I get out of it, it catapults me out of it. Okay. And right now, I'm out of it, and I am rolling. I feel like I'm on fire. And again, there's days... Now, I train twice a day. Every other class, I feel like meh. Because I train so much, right? And so there's a balance on that, too. Yeah. But, like, every plateau that I hit, every time I feel down... When I get back out of it, I feel so much better, and all of a sudden it made up for it. And so, again, jiu-jitsu is a marathon that you got to start looking at the long-term, like, overall progress, and don't microscope too much into what's happening, and just keep coming. You know,
and that's cool. There was another teammate that we had and picked up blue belt about the same time, and he was very emotional.
Yeah.
When I told you about that, he was crying, and like, what's going on, man? He's like, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
He said, in my adult life, I haven't hit many big things like this. I haven't completed things. I haven't, he worked towards this. He got this. Here's a payoff. Here's a pat on the back. This is something he worked for and got. And, he hasn't had a lot of wins like that in his adult life. So I guess that's
cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys know, like, what I've been through for the last 5 months. And I was getting out of it at about the same time that got blue belt. Yeah. Honestly, that's the first time I've gotten emotional in years. Now, I didn't have like tears flowing down my face like I did watching Mr. Holland's Opus the other day, but it's a great movie. It is so good. But it was like, this is an accomplishment. Like, I actually just did something.
But it wasn't about the belt.
No.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And the belt was like that day of like that landmark. But it was about all that work that was put in.
Yeah.
And
the challenges.
And it's individual again. This is why jiu-jitsu is not one size fits all. It is your individual journey. What were you working on for your blue belt? You were working on all of those things. You weren't actually working on a lot of things on the mats, a lot of physical things. You weren't working on those things. What as a coach, what I wanted to do was work on that. It's like, and that's what you need to be doing right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I had even told Tom, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to get a blue belt. Like, I don't know if I can be going through this kind of stuff and actually get promoted, because part of blue belt is becoming a good person. Part of jiu-jitsu is becoming kind of a good person. And I got caught up in some pretty crappy stuff. But you're exactly right. Like, but that's why earlier I said, like, jiu-jitsu in part of saving my, like, truly, and it sounds so dramatic to say it like that, but I was close to death.
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu helped me get through all of it.
And this is why I have a problem with those even instructors, people who could choke me out really quick, who say, you do not life coach. You do not talk about the morality of jiu-jitsu. You just come and train and leave, and you have no business telling your students,
that's a cop-out.
Or being nosy in a way, right? And it's like, but really though, like it is all connected.
Yeah.
If you came in and we just did jiu-jitsu, just the physical part, we didn't talk about those things and we didn't work on those things, because we all are going through one thing or another, right? We would miss out on so much, or miss out on life.
I bet a third of our private lessons, the first 30 minutes is talking about life.
Yeah.
And it's important. And I know CrossFit and Jiu-Jitsu are different, but the cultures are very much the same. I tell our coaches, yes, you're a CrossFit coach. You are also a life coach. Like, I tell them they're a life coach. Like, they're expected to be a life coach, because you have people coming in that they have their whole life is crazy and falling apart, and it's all up and down. All of our lives are up and down. And they need someone there that's like, hey, good job for showing up today. And you just did something hard there. You just deadlifted something you didn't think you could do, and life is tough over here. If you can deadlift that and you didn't think you could, where this is tough over here, you can do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so important.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, I know everything because I help life coach, right? It's like, there are times I've had where someone's going through a divorce, and I go, you know what? I haven't been through this scenario. Talk to my instructor, who's a little bit older, who's been through more marriage than I have. It's like, sometimes I feel like, oh, you're kind of reaching sideways. Reach up on this one, But no, we all can help each other.
Well, and I think as men anyway, we're life coaches.
Yeah.
You know, one of the cool things that I've experienced, just in the small jiu-jitsu community, though, well, like you guys, you know, we've uplifted each other. We've been there. I think, I mean, not to get off topic, but like, dudes don't support dudes a lot. We're here fighting quietly. We're doing things quietly, and it's been amazing to be with a group of people where I'm like, I'm proud of you, man. Like, it's good. I know it's hard. You feel free to open up to each other, but like we support each other, and it's been a real big deal, especially you two, for me.
Oh, for me too.
Have been, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you're like, we were instant friends and not in a gay way. And it's the same thing, you know, like, hey, Tyler.
Just avoid eye contact.
Yeah, right? It's not weird. You know, I love you, and I'm proud of you, and I'm here for you, you know. And I'm glad that this has all brought us together in certain ways. And other people have come in, and we are life coaches. We're all life coaches. We're all here to uplift each other. And I love this idea of lifting each other up, and men in particular.
And again, just like when you focus on the politics and the drama and the gossip of jiu-jitsu, and even maybe even too much of the competitive aspect of the competing, like being too competitive.
Yeah.
Right? We miss out on this part. And I don't want to go train anywhere that it's just that, you know?
Yeah, calling someone out on social media like, hey, punk, I'm going to go get you.
Yeah.
It's more like, I mean, if it were me, I'd be like, hey, you tapped me. That was awesome. I'm going to train as hard as I can next time, and I want you to train as hard as you can, because when we get back together, we're going to have a fun roll.
That doesn't sell.
It doesn't sell it. Yeah. Well, in Gordon Ryan's book, Top Game, he said he was in I'm probably going to get this slightly wrong, but he said he was with John Danaher one day and the whole A-team and everything, and John said, jiu-jitsu does not make money. If you guys want to make money doing this, you need a personality. You need to start out on social media, and you need to give yourself a personality. So Gordon Ryan at that point became the King Ryan, and he trash talks, and he this, and he that. But in real life,
he's a huge nerd.
He's a nerdy jiu-jitsu dude.
And again, some of it's for show. Some of these guys are actually not. I've hung out with Gordon Ryan a little bit. I think deep down, he's a nerd. He just loves jiu-jitsu, and he's figured out a way to make money, right?
For sure.
I think eventually, you become the person that the personality that you make up.
That's very true.
Regardless, even if not, in my opinion, you do not check your morality. You don't check your religion on the mat, on the door, at the door. And again, he makes a lot more money than I do alone in his really big house in Texas. I've got 3 awesome girls that run around the house. I have been vomited and pooped on today, and it's great, you know? But, like...
We can smell it.
Yeah, thanks. It's good. No, but, like...
Day's not over yet.
There's more to life.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And this is me talking about people that can probably smoke me at jiu-jitsu, right? So don't tell them that I said that, but...
And next time I see him.
I just, there's...
Next time he DMs me.
In case he listens to the podcast,
Right.
yeah. But really though, like, there's so much more to life.
Yeah.
Like having kids, it's awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Teaching them jiu-jitsu,
That's
That's
be
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
Yep. Having girlfriends.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Teaching your girlfriend jiu-jitsu,
Hey,
man.
she came once
That's
Which
pretty
is
good.
Awesome.
on Valentine's Day, and we were working on cross chokes, and she would get this face on. She'd get the hand in the collar and the other hand in the collar, and she made this face, and she was like, "I'm choking you," and I loved it.
I think there's a responsibility for us to teach our ladies jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely.
I also am okay that I love jiu-jitsu. My wife does not.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, it'd be cool if she picked it up someday and loves it. I'm happy I have something that's mine.
Yeah.
And now she better know how to handle herself.
Yeah.
I think I'm missing out on,
Yeah.
some teaching lessons. I need to teach my wife how to protect herself. But as far as like passion, I'm glad that I like jiu-jitsu, and she's tried it many times. She trained for a few months before she started having kids, but now she's having kids. It's okay.
Yeah,
She'll get back into it later, you know.
It took Kira
So-
5 years to get into CrossFit, so she has time.
When she comes to Jiu-Jitsu,
She's come like 3 times, but
it's not her.
she's. I mean, that's the cool thing. We're all on like, and we're together, so we have the same like wavelength of what we want out of life. But she's on a journey, and I'm on a journey. It's just, you know, hers is very much like meditation and yoga
Sure.
and a little bit of CrossFit and being a good mom and being a great wife, and I guess I should say great mom and great wife. You know, mine's trying to provide and still be a good dad and a good husband, and that's what's cool about jiu-jitsu is you go there and you learn those things, and it's not selfish too. You know, I hear a lot, and this mostly comes from females, but like, I feel so bad because I'm away from my kids for an hour, and I'm like, opposite. You're going for an hour to become a better mom. You're going to be physically there for them. You're going to be emotionally there for them. You're going to be spiritually there for them, mentally there for them. Like, and that's how jiu-jitsu is for me. It's like that, you know, right now it's 2 or 3 hours a week. That's all it's been. This has been a really crazy summer. 2 or 3 hours a week. But those 2 or 3 hours reset me.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yeah.
They make me not as grumpy.
Yeah. But you can't be super grumpy after you just choke someone or armbar them.
No, that's the thing is I'm getting choked. That's what makes me smile better. I'm the one getting beat up, and I'm okay with it.
The humble guy
I
here
know.
that smoked everybody last Saturday.
Right?
We did, for those who don't understand, we did a like a barbecue, but we did like a black belt challenge. So everyone got to roll with a black belt, which was me. And whoever got the longest time got $100 cash.
So congrats, Dave McMullen.
Yes, man.
He lasted.
What, a minute and 12 seconds?
He was 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Was it?
Yeah, he got it was long. He lasted a while.
James felt it.
I felt I was a bit tired after him.
I think you're quickest, though. You knocked somebody out in 12 seconds or 18 seconds? It was.
And that was probably Logan.
It was. Yeah, it was. Oh, well, not to call names. Sorry, Logan.
And Logan's great. He
No,
just
dude.
had
I
the
think I told you guys
brother-in-law
there I was rolling someone before him, and I had the opportunity to like leg lock him, and I was like, no, I'm gonna wait for Logan
That's cool.
because I got to surprise Logan. I gotta get him. So that was my win for
That was awesome.
that day. But it was a cool event. I liked it.
Yeah,
but
so much fun. Next year, I'm going to last for 1 minute and 15 seconds.
next year we'll do it outside. It'll be bigger. It'll be fun, and we will let Scott Blake or Jared Emfield know about it, and we'll have them do it instead. And I'll be like, yeah, it's not tiring at all. Like it's fine. It's just it's only like 20 people in a row.
Nah, it was
So-
way fun.
That was awesome.
That was the highlight of my son's weekend. So he had a really good time with that.
He freaked out a little bit. He's like, "What? I don't know what I'm doing."
Like, don't let your opponent know that.
He knew what he was doing just fine.
Yeah, he did great.
Yeah, it's funny because he didn't know that he was going to do it until we got there, and then you let him go in last minute, but he didn't have clothes to do it, and since it was picked by random, I was freaking out because I'm like, crap, if he goes first, I got to hurry and take my clothes off and let him wear my clothes, and anyways, it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, it did.
Things usually do work out.
That's sweet.
Just takes time.
Yeah, man.
No, I really appreciate you guys coming and chatting. I know it was very last minute, but actually the guy that I was, the friend that I was watching UFC and we're at Fireworks with, it was cool. He said he checks his phone every morning for a new episode. And he's like,
Does he?
You haven't put a new episode on in a long time. So I'm like, we got to get one. Got to get one up. So thank you guys for it. And in 2 years,
Yeah, man.
purple belt, let's do it again.
2 years, maybe for you. Yeah.
You guys will keep doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're close enough that I'll keep bugging
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
hey, that's the last hard part about those who actually stick around, is they have to learn how to deal with me
Oh,
and my
all
my
right.
goofy personality.
You're all right.
Yeah,
So-
it's been good so far.
Yeah.
So no, I just appreciate you guys, and I think there was some good stuff that came out of this. So we'll see you guys tomorrow at noon. Well, see you at 11, and we'll see
Yeah.
both of you at 11.
There you go.
So,
Cool.
yeah.
I'll be there.
Appreciate
Come
you,
join.
Tyler.
Yeah, right back at you.
Thank you, James.
Have a good day.